beloved. I got a word from the God on high. I got a word that will change your life. Hear from the God who gave you life and sit under my tree. Yeah, but so today we're going to be making pumpkin spice cake, and we're going to be talking about respectability and answering one of my burning questions. Okay, so let's get into it. 2 cups of flour. So, why were women so targeted in the respectability campaign of 1910 to around the 1920s, right? So, why? I'll tell you why. Number one is because women, 2 cups of sugar, were the greatest agents of the Great Migration. What does that mean, Deborah? Hold up, I'm gonna tell you. So, what that means is that they were the ones who were moving from the south to the north. If you remember in my first video, that's what I said. So they were the ones who were moving from the south to the north. So they were, in the most part, they were the ones who were doing that the most. Number two were women were the symbols of racial reform. So after slavery, women were the model, the poster children of racial reform. No longer slaves, but dignified members of the community. So they were the poster children for that. So we have 2 tablespoons of baking powder. And this recipe is in the description below. So number 3, respectability was a already established movement in white culture. What? I know, right? What? I said that too, but I'm gonna read an excerpt for you. Right here in my handy dandy notes. So, from the book Respectability, African Women in the Interwar, which is linked below, when individuals deployed respectability, the discourse frequently took on gender characteristics. What? Ellen Ross has noted that in England, because respectability was a term used to describe class divisions outside of the workplace, it became the project of the white working class wives, who largely controlled the appearance of the home and the neighborhood. And you're saying to me, really? Really? So, Ross suggests that women embodied respectability or lack of it in their dress, public conduct, language, housekeeping, child rearing methods, spending habits, and of course, sexual behavior. And if you go back, if you go back to when I defined what respectability is. Respectability is the idea that your actions can dictate your standing and status in your community. What? Do you see that? It backed me up. It backed me up, right? I was like, Anyway, so this female embodiment of respectability was also central to middle class self-definition. Numerous historians have noted that the increase of number of etiquette manuals and other perspective works aimed at women and the greater public display of white respectability. Right? Interesting. Very interesting. Ooh. Hold up. Not yet. I gotta put my 1 teaspoon, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So. Okay. Now the X. So white women were already doing this, and because Black middle class women wanted to be a part of the community, of the white community, and they wanted to be accepted, they adapted this too. Because the Black women didn't really have this respectable image. They had either an over-sexualized image of the field worker or the housemaid, or they had Mammy, which was a desexualized, master knows best kind of image, which is funny while I'm baking. Because mammies were bakes, they were the cookers, they were cleaners, they were the child rearers of the community. So that's very interesting. So now they wanted to kind of go separate from that and be a respectable woman. Not a respectable Black woman, but a respectable woman. Because that's what the white middle class were doing, and that's what they thought they should do. Right? So that moves on to point number 4. Black women thought that this movement would give them esteem in the white patriarchal society of the 1910s and the 1920s. So they were like, yes, I'm gonna do that. And remember, in my last video, I talked to you about how Black urban women were the perpetrators of the respectability campaign. And I talked about self-surveillance because they were afraid of not being accepted into this community that they literally fought to be accepted in. So they started, look, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to act like this, and you have to act like... Okay, so Evelyn Brooks Higginbottom defines politics of respectability through which middle class and elite Black women sought to earn their people a measure of esteem from white America. By striving to win the Black lower class psychological allegiance to temperance and industriousness, thrift, refined manners, and Victorian sexual morals, which I firmly believe is an oxymoron, because if you know anything about Queen Victoria and sexual morals, this bourgeois respectability received a degree of support from Black working class that gave rise to numerous institutions of racial reform, the Black church being one of them. So remember when I was talking to you guys about the Black church and its role in respectability? It was a facilitator. It did not come before this idea. It came right alongside it. It was the facilitator. Because the Black church was the patriarch of the community, they needed to put it in the Black church in order for it to spread, right? To spread in the Black community. And a lot of it, remember, I just read you the excerpt that it said that they used a lot of manuals and stuff in the white sphere, Now, in the Black sphere, they use Sunday school books and ministry pamphlets, which is so cool. You know, this propaganda of respectability started to form. Woo! What? I know. So it was really awesome. Now, while I add me some milk, 1 cup. 1 cup of milk coming up. So, now you have this idea of respectability and why it was so targeted in the Black community. I'm gonna come back, the cake is going to be done, and then we'll do a little recap. All right, bye, beloved. See you soon. Hiya there, beloved. The cake is done. We're gonna flip the bun. So, next time, we're going to be talking about my own experience as a church girl and how respectability was applicable and started to become applicable in the later days. So we're gonna talk about current events. Look at this. Get into it. And it smells good. All right, bye, you beloved. Have a blessed and beautiful day.